Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard here to the post-video live stream. I apologize for the bit of the delay here. Had some other stuff I had to take care of there. But again, big thanks to everyone who tuned in on the Why Sears Point Is Awesome video. I hope I hope you're entertained by that for sure. It's definitely a track that, as you can tell from the stuff in the video, that I grew up really enjoying for years and watching the action up there. And it's a shame that we're not running there this year with the extenuating circumstances of everything that's going on. But hopefully, in time, we're going to be racing back up there pretty soon. And I think it's going to be a pretty exciting venue when we get to that point. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Make sure this is working here. All right. So yeah, so definitely want to make sure that I jumped on the live stream. We'll do some trivia here to kind of mix things up a little bit too. But I wanted to make sure that I covered not only any of you guys' questions or anything on the video, but also the action from Darlington this week. Obviously, we did the live stream for Monday after that race, but we haven't yet talked about the night race at Darlington on Tuesday, and then the rain delayed, or no, on Wednesday. Gosh, the days blurring together. On Wednesday, and then the rain delayed Xfinity Series race yesterday. I have work Thursday, Friday. So I figured I'd jump into here and kind of lump that together. We'll be playing it by ear for future live streams coming up. Probably going to do one on Sunday after the 600, but we'll see how things look on that end. So really, first of all, gotta be happy for Chase Briscoe and that victory there in the number 98 car. I don't think anybody was unhappy with him pulling off the victory there. Even Kyle Busch didn't seem, everybody tried to make it seem like he was really upset about that after the case, but he was put on a great show there, very reminiscent of the Kurt Busch and Ricky Craven battle, bumping into each other and trying to make the outside line stick there. Close finish, exciting finish, but just well deserved there. I mean, shades of something like Dale Jr.'s win at Daytona, or other ones. And I know some of those finishes can kind of tend to be played out a little too much, but that's because they're just as significant as they are. And I think that one's going to be very much in the same category there. So big congratulations to Chase Briscoe and the Stewart-Haas Biaggi Den Best team there for the victory there. And a real interesting race too. I mean, the Xfinity Series cars continuing to put on a good show. At whatever track they're able to find themselves at, and with the talent now migrating to the Cup Series and such, drivers like Briscoe finding their ways to be top of the charts there. Him and Cindric and the Gibbs guys there with Harrison Burton and and so forth. Brandon Jones. Really good to see, and it's good to see these talent get featured. And as much as, and somebody pointed this out, that I'm not crazy about Kyle Busch running all these races, showing off here and doing all 7 of these races between the Charlotte thing and all that. But it definitely did show how good Chase Briscoe is and pulling through that. I mean, there are so many drivers that have had to work their way through so many things. You saw that a little bit in the Sears Point video too, that there was a lot of drivers who suffered serious injuries and then picked a road course of all places to come back. Obviously, very serious tragedy that Chase and his wife dealt with there. And I quite honestly wasn't sure if he was even going to compete. I don't know Chase personally or anything, but I certainly wouldn't have blamed him if he didn't feel like coming back there. But to not only come back but to pull off that victory, I think was outstanding. And to do it in that style, that is what the sport's all about. You get guys out there that do the very best they can and work through sometimes impossible situations. And I know Ken Squire says these are ordinary people doing extraordinary things, but sometimes there's something extraordinary in those guys too, and what they're able to do. So very proud of Chase Briscoe. Not typically what I don't typically start talking off the winners, of course, with the last place thing, but certainly can't avoid that, and I want to lead off with that for sure. On the last car side, we just posted the Xfinity article earlier today. Finished that up on my lunch break this morning at work, and got that posted I think about an hour or so before the Sears Point video started. And Stephen Light, the feature of this week, Light driving the number 66 car, having very early handling issues. Sounded like the car was just absolutely evil, even though he just completed the one lap out there. Carl Long was looking at the chassis after he pulled in, but apparently he never came back out. Suspension issues were the cited cause, although the account over the audio made it sound more like a handling issue. But regardless, a rare suspension issue in the Xfinity Series, and a rare last place finish for the number 66, as it turns out. Even though the 66 is fairly common in finishing last in the Cup Series, and I believe even to a degree in the Truck Series, it's actually quite rare in the Xfinity Series. So that was a different deal there. I was also interested to see that Steven had actually, or that Light had actually completed more than half the distance in the 3 races he'd won. Even though that's basically categorized as a start and park team, they have not been pulling in like the first 5 laps or anything. They're attempting a good portion of the races there, and you know, this just happened to be an unusual exception there where he pulled in. I was wondering if the car still had a setup from Phoenix, or maybe something they anticipated for Atlanta and Homestead, and maybe that's why they were struggling at Darlington. Kind of reminded me of some of the issues the field fillers had back in the early 2000s. You get guys like Andy Hillenberg, when he drove for Dave Marcus's team, and then later on with Stanton Hover, having some problems keeping up the pace with other guys in the Cup Series. But that was a different deal there. Hey, welcome aboard, everybody. Good to see everybody jump on. I know I apologize. There was a bit of a delay here getting started, but we're definitely doing the post-video live stream, talking about the races this week. And if you have any questions about the video or the action this week, we'll definitely cover things as best as possible. Speaking of motorsports business management, the team that Stephen Light finished last for, great run for both Timmy Hill and Chad Fincham. David McQueen posted a tweet earlier about the top 25 streak that Fincham is on, and that Timmy Hill is having some great runs as well there in the number 61 car. Hill is apparently going to switch into Light's car next week at Charlotte, and the 61 is going to go back to Austin Hill for a fully funded Shigeaki Hattori run in the number 61. And that's going to be interesting. I'm just actually starting to work on the entry list storylines article for this week. Because of the uneven schedule, I've had to kind of pretty much throw out my old update schedule here and just kind of start from scratch. So the article that's going to be posted tomorrow, I'm hoping to have it up sometime tomorrow, is going to cover the entry list for the Coca-Cola 600 this Sunday, the Truck Series race, and the Xfinity Series race. I don't know if the entry list has been posted for next Wednesday's race yet. If that's going to be delayed, we'll break this off into 2 pieces and have another article there. So you're going to have a lot more content coming up on the website for sure. And it's going to be interesting to see all that shake out. Yeah, great run for Chase Briscoe. Unfortunate deal for Stephen Light. Landon Castle as well. I actually didn't text, direct messaged Landon Castle this morning when I heard some rumors about the 89 team not running at Charlotte. I asked him to clarify. He actually hadn't heard anything at the time yet. And then apparently right after we spoke, Morgan Shepherd called him and said that they weren't going to run at Charlotte. So now it appears that the 89 car is not going to be there next week. We hope, certainly, again, their sponsorship issue gets worked out. I don't know if there's anything new with Blue Emu, because it seems like they were really ecstatic about the performance that Landon did in the iRacing thing. And we've seen already that roofclaim.com has done so much to help out Timmy Hill, and in fact is actually going to be sponsoring Hill's Truck Series effort as his team returns to action next week in Charlotte. So I hope that something else comes in there. Oh, at the 20. Okay, thanks for the heads up there. 2017 video and the 2016 link. Okay, I can update that. That's an easy fix. So thanks for catching that. We'll get that fixed up there on the caption there. Again, as I mentioned, the Sears Point video does have the links, and will have the corrected link, of course, so you can see the 2016 and 2017 races among the others there, and all the other content on there. Big thanks again to everybody that posted the videos on there, especially the qualifying footage and stuff from that. It makes it really look good, and then kind of some interesting stories from that too. So Xfinity Series race, again, great run for Chase Briscoe, great run for Kyle Busch there, good dogfight there at the end of it. And I guess this already transitions into the, okay, I keep getting the days messed up here. So it was the Monday or the Tuesday race, I guess. Well, I guess it was Wednesday. Well, no, it was Thursday for the Xfinity Series, Wednesday for the Cup Series. And that's right, because they ran the Hump Day car on the Geico car for Ty Dillon. So the Hump Day race on Wednesday, I thought it was pretty exciting, pretty fun. It had just a little bit about everything, and I think that there was some good action there between a lot of the big teams, the small teams. The inversion seemed to really hamper some of the big teams. Jimmy Johnson seemed to really struggle a lot compared to how he did in the Sunday race. I'm not sure if that meant that Jimmy wrecked his best car. Maybe his backup wasn't quite as good, or if it was just simple track position or changing track conditions by running at night during the day. But it didn't seem like, it seemed like he was struggling a bit more than maybe some of the other competitors did that charged their way up there. Denny Hamlin with the mask there was an interesting touch. Apparently didn't have the frowny face mask ready, but apparently didn't need it by going to victory lane. I wonder if he finished last, if he would have needed to turn it upside down or something instead. But that would have been interesting. But congrats to Denny Hamlin on the victory there after bookending the iRacing Pro Invitational Series and also winning Daytona 500. Now has matched Joey Logano's 2 wins this season and scrambled up the point standings a bit more. But obviously, all of this overshadowed significantly by the incident between Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch towards the end, right before the rain came. Kyle Busch comes up the track and gets into Chase Elliott. I did think it was funny, and I do regret this to a degree, bringing up that Chase Elliott has been so aggressive on his blocks, and I do feel that Ricky Stenhouse is overly criticized for the number of crashes and perhaps recklessness that he shows out there in the 47. Didn't expect that tweet to blow up, quite honestly. I felt that, quite honestly, Chase Elliott is extremely aggressive out there, and it seems like nobody really addresses him as such or acknowledges how aggressive he is. Obviously, he's a name. He's a big brand out there, and NASCAR is doing it their utmost to make him the new Dale Jr. of the sport. Yes, he now has 6 wins. He seems that he's going to be getting his feet back under him between both these Darlington races. He was a factor in both of them. Not a terrible driver by any means, but I don't think Ricky Stenhouse is a terrible driver in that sense either. One could criticize how successful somebody is at pulling off an aggressive move and crashing, but I've been hearing that stuff about so many drivers over the years who have also proven themselves to be quite capable. Ernie Irvan, back in the early 90s, had to publicly apologize to the drivers in 1991 when he just happened to be in the middle of a lot of accidents, pulling some aggressive moves. And oftentimes he wasn't actually wrecked. It just other drivers wrecked around them instead. Same thing with Robbie Gordon in the time there. We talked about him in the Sears Point video. Many years that he was criticized. I believe even Dale Jr. Jumped on him there at one point there about being a part-timer versus getting into full-time. It's a different situation there with that, but aggressive is aggressive. I think that, and I don't mean that that's necessarily a bad thing either. I think that we need to see drivers do some more aggressive things out there, but I do think, and some may disagree again, looking at Joey Logano and his aggression, or Kevin Harvick, or other drivers that seem to really pull off some insane moves out there. I think Chase Elliott, and he's done this at super speedways a lot, especially right from the start. If I seem to remember correctly, he took himself out at Daytona just the very beginning of his career. And yeah, as a rookie and starting out, but all these drivers were rookies at some point. He's been involved in his share of accidents and working his way up there. But I don't really view this so much as a way to kind of pull Chase Elliott down, but really not to kind of raise Ricky Stenhouse up a little bit. I think some people out there, and I'm not saying that's not necessarily everybody here in the chat here, but other people on Twitter, they take Ricky Stenhouse's crash total a little personally there, as if everybody's their sponsor and it's coming out of their pocket whenever the 47 wrecks out there. There's going to be somebody that's going to crash more than anybody, no matter who it is. Pointing out who it is, I don't see that particularly helping in any case there. But there's so many things that can happen out there when you're driving and you do an insane move or anything like that, as far as I could tell as an outsider. But whether or not that results in a crash or not, it's still being aggressive. And, Chase Elliott has not been, omitted from that. I mean, come on, he wrecked out of Phoenix with the tire failure just last fall, which put him in contention for the last car championship. He had so many crashes last year that he ended up being put in the middle of that. Not Ricky Stenhouse. Stenhouse, everybody would think would be a last car champion, still isn't. So go figure on that. But in Stenhouse, in the meantime, I think this just it's unfortunate that he had that wreck at the very beginning of that race. Darlington was a bit too aggressive. I mean, everybody was drawing lots as to who that was going to be. That was probably going to have a wreck at the start, and not limited to him either. JTG had a real difficult week there in Darlington. But let's not forget, this is the same kid that won the pole for the Daytona 500. And had he not gotten dumped by somebody exiting turn 4, probably would have had a good finish there as well. Got messed over in that. Also had a great run at Las Vegas. Things kind of tapered off a little bit in the races since then, but I still think that he and his crew chief are on the verge of getting some good runs behind them and helping that 47 team out. So we'll see how things shake out on that. But I think Stenhouse is still kind of working his way up, and it seems like they've stacked this schedule, I think, actually in a way that's probably going to help him, because we're going to have Bristol coming up, we're going to have Talladega coming up, tracks that he's good at too. And we're going to see down the stretch, who's crashing more now between Chase Elliott and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and all that. But I was very impressed, but still noticed, how aggressive Chase Elliott was being at the end of that Darlington race. And it wasn't. I did call it wrong that he, clearly he didn't wreck it. He didn't wreck himself in that incident at the end of that Darlington race. Once you looked at the replays. Yeah, Kyle Busch came up the track. You could see him cross that seam and get into him. That wasn't Chase's fault at all. But it could have very easily happened when Chase was throwing those blocks going into turn 1 and chasing people all the way down to the apron, like Kyle Petty at the end of the 1992 All-Star race. You start doing stuff like that. One of these days, you're going to be doing that against somebody who's not going to give an inch. And Chase probably won't give an inch either. And that's going to be a very interesting scenario when that comes out. Is it going to be something like Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott at Martinsville a couple years ago? Could be, potentially. But I think that's going to be a different it's going to be interesting coming up here, because I think that's something that's kind of lurking in the background a little bit, is Chase's aggression and how that's going to be managed in the races coming up here. And these are going to be some tracks that are going to be very interesting if somebody's a little bit too aggressive. I mean, whether it's Homestead or Atlanta or Martinsville or Bristol or Talladega. I mean, my goodness, any one of those could be catastrophic up there. But he's doing a great job getting up there up front, and it'd be nice if Stenhouse is able to be as consistent. But that's going to be interesting going forward there. Interesting. I wonder how much social distancing played a role in preventing there from being an actual pretty big fight there at the end of that race back on Wednesday, or if it was just simply a matter of NASCAR officials stepping in there and just making sure nothing happened. Things sound like they were going to get pretty heated there. But an unfortunate deal for Chase Elliott, but it's not for lack of trying, that's for sure. Let's see, look at the comments here. Never explained the name change in the video. Oh, yeah, I didn't really talk about the name changes at Sears Point. I also kind of left out talking about the reconfigurations. There's so much about Sears Point that I think it's interesting that that's out there, that you can't get everything. It actually took a few rewrites to actually kind of get that video to where I really kind of wanted it to be. But I know that there's still a lot of left out. I don't think I even mentioned Casey Kane winning there in 2009 when they started doing double file restarts. I think that would have been, that would have been an interesting thing to lump into that as well. I remember filming a lot of those restarts from turn 2 that year. There's just so much, but I'm glad that it doesn't have everything, actually, because that's going to mean that everybody else can be, they can talk about one things they like about Sears Point, kind of keep the conversation going. I think that this is, something difficult for Sears Point and also for Chicagoland for that matter. Richmond, obviously, they have a second date, so they're not totally on the outside on this. But remembering, good races at these tracks, and and knowing that going forward there, and remembering that next year, because things change so quickly in the sport, and teams, drivers and teams that fall out of the sport, people can be forgotten pretty quickly. And I think the same thing could potentially happen with tracks, and I hope that's not the case with Sears Point. And I hope, in fact, that maybe something is worked out where maybe Chicagoland and Sears Point get 2 dates to offset the ones that they were missed this year. because I think they're both being kind of hurt unduly by this thing. Just do a temporary thing next year and kind of work something out with that. Maybe do double headers for their race weekend so it doesn't take a date away from somebody else, and try something like that. I think that would be great. How likely that is, I'm not sure if that is, but something else that could be worked out on that. I'd actually planned on doing that video before the race got canceled. It was something when I was thinking of some other videos to do after I did the one earlier this year, and try to come up with some other topics like retirement season one. I thought about doing that as kind of a lead into Sears Point. And actually, I was kind of thinking about leaning towards just the old school footage and talking about the way the track used to be versus the way it is now and all that. So I changed the strategy on that, of course. And, I don't want to talk about was and things that used to be as if the track's not active or not having a date anymore. I certainly didn't want to give off that impression. So I retooled the video and made it more about just the whole track's history and really trying to bring up things that even happened more recently. I mean, the thing I was really struck by putting it together was all the misfortunes that road course ringers have had in the past at that track, that they've had so many good runs and probably could have won a number of those races if not for one mistake or one misstep or something along the way. That the precision that's required to get around the Sears Point there and get the best finish possible, if you have one mistake that comes up along the way, you're going to be really in trouble. I mean, you look at, the incidents that Ron Fellows had getting caught up in the Kevin Harvick incident in 2008, Marcus Ambrose stalling his car in 2010, AJ Allmendinger shifting to the wrong gear and tearing the transmission out, Scott Pruitt getting that disastrous lap in 2000, so many other incidents that have seemed to just specifically targeted these drivers. It's amazing that Robbie Gordon was able to work through that and actually win after he himself had that narrow loss in 2001 as a road course ringer for Jim Smith's team. I thought it was kind of interesting. I almost thought about even making just the video by itself, but obviously there's so much more to the track than that, and I kind of want to do a thrills and spills angle there. So I hope, again, you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you leave any comments on the video and share it to your friends and everything. The links all there and stuff. So really enjoyed putting that together. And actually, I'm working on some other stuff here. Don't know what the release dates are going to be. I like that I've kind of worked this out where we've had these premiere nights every other Friday or so. I don't know how much longer I can keep going with that, but I do have a script already worked out for the next video. Patreon members are going to find out about that one first. I'm pretty excited about that one too, because I got some interesting research materials that I think will make it a good story on that. Yeah, other videos being worked on here to kind of keep things going over on the channel. But of course, at the same time, the challenge, of course, is keeping up with everything going on now that the sport's back going again. It's almost been too much content keeping up on the injury lists and these races here. I was like half awake during the Xfinity race because I had to rest up for work when that got rain delayed well into the early afternoon over here on the West Coast, but well worth it there to watch that to finish. And then Wednesday's race, I finished the article on that before hopping in the car that night. So, but got through both shifts, going to recover this weekend and get ready for the 600 on Sunday night and get ready for some more fun stuff on that. So I'm just thinking about anything else on that. We had we talked about the Sunday race already, and Ryan Preece getting the last place finish in the Cup Series race on Wednesday. Again, I touched on earlier about the rough week for JTG Daugherty. Unfortunate deal for him. Really enjoyed doing the statistics on the pole winners that have finished last, although technically that wasn't a pole winner. He qualified first. Looking at my statistics, I should have put this up on the article before I posted it. I just put these statistics about pole winners at Darlington and how often they finished last. 41 different times the driver who started first finished last in the same race, in points races in the Cup Series. Going back all the way to, I believe, even like the first season of NASCAR had it happen before. And I was surprised by a lot of the names that popped up. Buddy Baker, Richard Petty, Lee Petty, I believe, came up in one of them too. So many different drivers that have had that happen in their careers. And then more recently, people like Greg Biffle and Denny Hamlin as well. Made for an interesting story. So that was good. That was good to see on that. But not good for Ryan Preece, of course. This ended up being a little bit closer to what happened in September last year, Darlington, where you had a lot of people have issues, but not necessarily falling out of the race. John Hunter Nemechek, in this case, backing into the wall a couple of times. Issues for BJ McLeod losing laps in the early stages, but still continuing out there. And then, of course, Preece, unfortunately, having a great run up until that point, was racing with Aragon Marola, I believe, at the time when the engine let go. But a rough deal there. Hopefully they can recover and have a good showing there in Charlotte. Home races next week, both on Sunday and Wednesday, depending on how things going on that. Jack Garland, seeing your comment there, my opinion of Lenny Pond, interesting personality. I think back to the fact that he beat Darrell Waltrip for Rookie of the Year. I mean, Rookie of the Year has kind of interesting stories in and of itself. And Lenny is certainly one of those. I think he had some great paint schemes. There were guys walking around Darlington last year wearing the bright orange shirts with his number 54 on it. My favorite, I really liked his paint scheme he ran in '78 when he won at Talladega, the Harry Ranier car. I thought that was a really slick looking paint scheme that he ran there. I always get so precious about paint schemes and stuff and ones that look good, but that one definitely stands out in my mind. I don't know much about him as a driver, although he had a very interesting career. He had a hairline pretty much like mine, and but was tough as nails out there, and had some great runs out there. So again, another driver that very limited success in terms of victories, but a lot of success in terms of a lot of starts there. Would be interested in learning more about him, quite honestly. That's one. That's a driver beyond that. That's what immediately comes to mind there. Beyond that, kind of reminds me of like Frank Warren and some of these other guys that were, independents or drivers identified with a single number, but maybe not necessarily with a lot of victories at the same time. Kind of almost as iconic as Ron Bouchard running the 47 and pulling off his own surprise victory at Talladega. But that was always an interesting one there too. Let's see. Yeah, Ultimate 23 Dragon. Yeah, Ryan Newman finishing last in the 600. By the way, that reminds me, kudos to NASCAR for putting up that video of all of Ryan Newman's pole runs. That's a really fun one to watch. I need to get like YouTube Premium so I can't see the ads that stop it every 2 minutes there, because it makes for fun watching. Crank that sound up all the way and just hear those engines just wind out there. I don't know what the trick is with Newman, whether his ability to both be impossible to pass and also impossible to beat on qualifying day. Those are two happy talents that the man from South Bend has. So interesting ones to see with that. But yeah, among those, the last place finish in the Coca-Cola 600 after he also had heartbreak in the All-Star race, had the Open one and blew an engine at the end of that after he had it well in hand. And Johnny Benson pulling off a victory to transfer into the main event from that one. So Newman with some interesting ones. We also saw Newman pop up in the Darrell Waltrip video, you recall, when Darrell Waltrip was presented with that really cool trophy of his flame car from fans. There's a clip in that you see the 66 racing against Newman in his Cup debut back when Penske fielded the 02 car for him briefly before he took over for the number 12 car with the Alltel sponsorship there. Newman had some very surprising runs as a part-timer, continuing in 2001 before he went full-time in 2002. Had some great runs at, what was it, Kansas? He should have beat Jeff Gordon. Chicagoland, I think he had another pole or something. Or maybe that was 2002, he had the pole at Chicagoland. But interesting deals there. Let's see. Mid-season driver releases, 2004 specifically. Tough call on that. You mean like drivers that are like replaced by somebody else during the middle of the season? Because yeah, I mean 2004, you kind of think of like, yeah, Johnny Sauter in the 30 car, and then Englebright and Steve Park coming in on there. Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, obviously you see at the website, I do the entry list storyline, so I'm interested in kind of stories that come up where maybe teams are trying to find the right combination. On a personal level, I mean, maybe not that crazy about it, because I remember what it was like being in crew and being you have a locked in seat, or you think that you do, and all of a sudden you're swapped out and you're standing on the bench or sitting on the bench while somebody else is in your seat, and they don't wait till the season's over. I've been on the other side of that, and that's no fun. In a perfect world, everybody would be able to just run the entire season, but unfortunately, things get competitive out there, and especially in NASCAR, where you have such a long season and so many sponsors and money that's at stake. Even going back in 2004 was not really that different in that sense. I think that driver swaps are things that do happen, and sometimes it works out better. I mean, Landon Castle, Morgan Shepherd's team, for example, him coming on board, helped that team out a lot. Different circumstances, of course, but things that have really helped that 89 get a lot more attention. That great run at Homestead. I certainly do hope that something comes through there on the 89 team. I'm troubled by them not running Charlotte, even though it's pretty much the closest racetrack to the shop, and they have two races, or no, two cup races, but one Busch race, Xfinity race, they could conceivably run at. It's troubling that they're not able to pull the funding on that. But obviously, with the early exit at Darlington, it shows that they still have the same, financial issues that they had earlier this season. Excuse me. But different deal there. So I mean, I'm maybe not. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily for mid-season driver changes, but I don't really mind them so much because these teams have to figure things out, and chemistry is important. If you don't have chemistry, things can be, it could be a long haul. And if you're expecting that a team's going to put up millions of dollars in equipment, and they have a guy who maybe in the first 4 races of the year just isn't working out with the team, probably would be a good idea to swap things out. We've seen that happen so many times in sports history. And it's an unfortunate deal. You don't feel happy for the guys that are swapped out, and it can happen in any number of circumstances. Certainly Kyle Larson's thing is added to that list. But it's I'm not against it, but it is unfortunate to see sometimes, because sometimes the circumstances are things that that don't seem to help everybody. But then other times it could be something that works out great. I mean, Mike Wallace in 2001, he got swapped into Penske Racing's car, taking over for Jeremy Mayfield, and he had some great runs. Should have won Phoenix at the end of that year. Almost beat Jeff Burton in that. Should have won at Charlotte. Had a great run in that one when he was going against Sterling Marlin. Sometimes one of those opportunities comes about that can really show what one of these drivers can do, and they land in a ride. These road course ringers are the same deal. I mean, we talk about 2003. Jerry Nadeau gets injured. Steve Park gets released from DEI, and this both happens right before Sears Point. So you get Boris Said and Ron Fellows, and they get basically pretty much the best run they ever had at Sears Point in terms of an overall performance. Maybe had better finishes, but it was certainly a boon to them. So anything that really helps out, drivers, I think maybe I don't mind it as much when it's a big team and it's a big driver, and maybe they could find another ride somewhere else. But because then it potentially can help somebody that's, open up a ride for somebody else. When it happens on the other side, maybe somebody's struggling and the team's not patient with them, maybe less for it at that point. So kind of having my cake and eating it too on that one. That's kind of been the thing. Rumors about Levine family. Don't know anything new on that. Like, goodness, it's I certainly hope that's not the case. Maybe Matt DiBenedetto's swap out of that car was worked out the best for him, and him going over to 21. That's basically another Penske car, even though it's really the Wood brothers. Maybe that turned out to be a great decision for him. I don't know, but Christopher Bell was very quiet when I talked to him after his last place finish at Fontana when he had the engine failure. I don't know enough about him to know if that was just the day-to-day way that he is. From what I hear, he's pretty shy. But he actually had me stumped. I should have had a follow-up question about how the racing was out there, but kind of left it hanging at that point after the quote that was in the article from that. But certainly hope things turn around for him there. It's he's definitely had a rough start this season, much like Daniel Suarez over at the Gaunt brothers. You would think over at the 95 team they're in much better situations than 96, and trying to make ends meet. It's going to be interesting to see which of those teams can really make ends meet the rest of this season. They're definitely ones to watch, looking forward there. But we'll find out what happens there. But yeah, really excited about Charlotte next week. I think what's probably going to end up happening the rest of the season, whether we go back into the regular schedule, which looks like it probably is going to happen at the end of June or early July, Because you notice the dates that they've shown for races so far that they're going to make up goes through Talladega in June 21st, and what's the week after that? The Pocono doubleheader. And I know Indianapolis is putting some preparations in for potentially being the first race back with fans, but it could be Pocono instead, and maybe the doubleheader is going to be the way to do that. Doubleheader kind of fits into the schedule that we've already had, and it doesn't seem like maybe that's going to be the transition to get into Indianapolis and try something from there. I think that's going to be interesting. I don't know that for sure, but I think that's pretty telling that that's where the schedule is kind of leaving off at the moment. I know in the statistics and stuff I'm putting together, I'm kind of leaving that whole part of the calendar kind of open and seeing things in there. I was thinking, now with Sears Point canceled this year, I was thinking about adding some other races to the schedule. I know I talked about this in the last live stream about the potential of maybe doing something like Las Vegas or Phoenix. I'm also kind of kicking around the idea of like how possible it would maybe be to try to get into the media for the first race back. Media is allowed to be in the garage area. That's a very fluid situation. I don't know if we can put that together, but that's something I'm definitely thinking about. I think that would be a great get. Potentially, though, the problem is going to be is that there's going to be, whenever they do first allow that, there's going to be less media seats in there because they're probably going to put in the same social distancing and space everybody out. I mean, everybody was shoulder to shoulder at Fontana, and I doubt that they're going to do that when they start things off. It'd be great if they did, but I think it's going to be very difficult for relative outsiders like myself to try to get in there. But maybe that'll be something to kind of look into, and hey, if it gets approved, maybe we'll work something out on that and jump in. I think that would be a great way to kind of work something out on that. But that's going to be something we're kind of looking at going ahead. Love to do some more trackside stuff. Realistically, it's probably just going to be Phoenix this year in November. We're still going to do the roadside magnet on the side of the car and do another drawing this year. Phoenix, of course, is going to be very competitive to try to cover that one as well. Of course, being the championship race, and Jimmy's still sticking to his decision to retire at the end of this season. But it's going to be interesting to see what's going on there. But okay, seeing your comment there, County Line Games. If they're not gonna let Pocono come back, we'll see. It's gonna be, if it's just one without, it'd be weird to have another double header weekend with nobody in the stands. But hopefully that's not the case. But I know Indianapolis seems to be siding up to do something on the 4th of July weekend. Would be interesting to cover. Never covered Indianapolis before. Be interesting to kind of try to jump into that. Especially since we've done IndyCar before, maybe do some bonus IndyCar coverage if we did that. Tough to say. I think it's going to be very difficult to get in that if they do, in fact, let the media get in the garage area. Gonna be tricky, but we're all playing this by ear. Everybody like that. In the meantime, we're certainly capable of producing as much content as possible. Hopefully, get the ARCA series back too, so William can get his articles back up on the website as well. For the ARCA series. I guess they're going to have the one at Talladega coming up. I guess that's the next one, since I guess the one in Charlotte's not happening. At least that's what I heard last time. So we got something else on that. But that's going to be something that we'll be kind of looking ahead to. So that's really a big part of my thoughts on where we are with everything this year and what's been going on. Yeah, anything else from the Darlington race, or any questions on Sears Point? I saw the one in the comments, Stephen. Yeah, your comment about the hills and terrain that were taken out in the 90s. I didn't talk about that really in the video either. Again, there's so much there. So much has changed at that track and its history, and I'm glad that there's this conversation encouraged where people were keeping it. I think that's a big thing I wanted to make sure I accomplished in that video, is make sure Sears Point stays in everybody's minds, and we don't forget that the Cup Series puts on a good show there, and it's one of only 2 actual road courses. I know there's the Roval, but 2 actual road courses that host Cup races. I know Xfinity and Trucks have their own. It's a great venue. The people here in the Bay Area really support it. It's unfortunate that the circumstances not allowed that. Obviously, Steve Page and the folks at the track there do not want to host it without fans. Certainly respect that decision. Hopefully this means that before too long we'll be racing back there with fans and media in attendance and put on another good show there. And going to be very excited to see who does well there. I really do think the thing that's frustrating about it, I will admit, is a lot of people are complaining about, oh, 2016 was like the last good race at Sears Point. No, I don't agree with that. 2019 may not have been the best race there, but I think that they were fixing a lot of things from that were going to make this year's race a lot better. The big concerning issue last year was the effect of heat and the effect of aerodynamics, which have historically not been an issue at Sears Point. I know people were skeptical of the return of the carousel, thinking that maybe that made the track too slow or maybe too single file. I think really more the aerodynamic issue was key, because it's easy to forget Watkins Glen didn't have a good race last year either. That Martin Truex and Chase Elliott's battle wasn't really a battle because one couldn't get around the other for pretty much the entire race. So this was an issue more of the road courses in general, not just specific to Sears Point. And it sounded like them changing that setup a bit and kind of backing off on the format that they used last year was going to help the racing there. So I would hold off judgment on that until next year's race. 2017 and 2018 also did have long runs in those races. I think another issue with that is the use of stage cautions specifically. I think stage cautions shouldn't be used in any of the road courses. You can still have stage points if you want to keep that infrastructure in there. Just don't throw the caution when you award it. Keep the race going. You can score the points. And okay, yeah, we don't get the interview with the stage winner. Like, who cares? Like, I mean, I don't really, I don't think people are going to really miss that so much. Just focus on the race, getting to the actual conclusion. So hopefully that gets worked out there as well. That reminds me of another topic I want to talk about here too. I want to give a big kudos to Fox Sports and the folks out there for the job they did covering these races at Darlington. I think they did a fantastic job under, again, impossible circumstances, much like the work that they did to cobble together the iRacing Pro Invitational Series to the point where we even have a name for the guy that was waving the flag, and then somebody doing that again, the official doing that at Darlington was a nice touch there too. I know I am very outspoken and very critical of the broadcast and broadcasters and the producers and people on there, because it is the eyes of the sport, and how you present the sport is very critical. I think that under the circumstances, they did a very good job on that. Now, this is both a good and kind of a bad thing at the same time. The reason is this: the quality of the broadcast that they put on with a skeleton crew and all that was absolutely on par with the broadcast that happened before the pandemic, before everything was shut down. I think the level of quality in the work was about the same, which was amazing, that they were able to do it with fewer people and more restrictions and no fans and all that. I thought they pulled it off very good. They even worked around having Regan Smith do the interview with the stage winner by having it relayed through Charlotte, which apparently was an issue on Sunday and wasn't an issue on Wednesday. So they were able to do it then. So they were continuing to work that hard on it. I also really liked what they did with the starting grids and everything too. That was fantastic as well. The reason that I say this is bad is, okay, if they could do that same level of work for a broadcast where the broadcasters aren't at the track and they have one pit race reporter, then the other broadcasts before the pandemic should have been significantly better. Significantly better. And I mean that in terms of the camera angles used and the way the broadcasts are handled and everything else. There should have been a drop off when they did the broadcast with very few people. And I think this points to an issue with these broadcasts, that they can do these things remotely and just looking at screens and not looking at the track and not having pit reporters that are catching everything that they could and not being efficient with your resources. That, they're being efficient with their resources when they're limited, but they're not being efficient with their resources when they have everything in place. And so the result is the broadcast comes out about the same. They still don't have any shots of the crowd. You still have camera shots that are stuck on the wall and showing the cars a little bit too close. You still have all the same hallmarks of the other broadcasts. The fact that there wasn't a major drop in quality, that it stayed exactly the same, shows that they need to be doing a lot more with their resources when they get back racing. Now, I don't want to be too critical on this point because I do think at the same time there were signs of progress in these broadcasts as well. And again, this goes back to what I touched on a bit here with the starting grids. NASCAR did, Fox, their broadcast partners, did exactly the broadcast they needed to do. They did the broadcast that knew this was the only sport that is currently active. This is the only sport that is still showing races. There's going to be a lot of viewers out here who don't know anything about NASCAR, don't know anything about the drivers, don't know anything about this. And they took the effort to show what these drivers look like in the starting lineup, to mention their sponsors in the starting lineup, even though it's only for a portion of the starting lineup. And I'm not even going to be that critical on Fox for that, because even ESPN in the glory days, up until like the late 90s, they would do like drivers and show the paint schemes, but they would only do that for the first few rows. They didn't do that for the whole field. And they wouldn't mention all the names through the rest of the field. So that's not, there's no rose-tinted glasses on that. That wasn't too different from that. So that was a huge positive for Fox. But the fact remains is, if the quality of the broadcasts was making the most use of the access they have and the ability to see the track and pick things out for the cameraman and not just let the cameras direct the action, if there should have been a drop-off. There should have been a drop-off. I'm actually saying we should have expected to see a drop-off in the performance of the broadcast. The fact that we didn't shows that the broadcasts during the regular season aren't as good as they could be, and this is really the issue. So that's where I kind of go, hey, Black Lives Matter. Thanks for jumping on board. Wow, goodness, 14 people in here. I know I'm rambling a long time on this, but again, it's a double-edged sword. I was chewing this over on the drive back from work, and I hope it's making sense with me on 3 hours sleep right now, because it's making sense to me, but I don't know if it is. But yeah, their broadcasts, again, they're doing the work, but they need, I mean, we need to see a significant uptick in the quality of the broadcast once everything comes back. And maybe it's an example of not knowing what you have until it's gone. That you don't know how difficult it is to do this when you only have two people in the TV booth, when you only have Regan Smith out there lacing up his running shoes and doing the best he can. He's doing a great job, by the way. And I'm not saying that just being, partial, because I did the Sleek and Swift Regan Smith thing. No sooner was I casting aspersions about him not talking to Jimmy Johnson and thing, and boom, he was right there. Great job. Regan is clutch, and I know how big that infield is. It's not easy to get from end to end, even if there's nobody there. That's going to be really tricky. So that's something that really needs to improve. So if we don't see, I would be very troubled if we don't see an uptick in the quality of the broadcasts once we get back to full speed here and have everybody, the full complement of the broadcasters and everything in there. We should see an improvement in there, because if we don't, they are resting on their laurels. They are doing it. There is a world of difference between a broadcast, between a play-by-play where you are observing things that are happening on the field of play and communicating it to everybody else, almost as if it's a radio broadcast, and then just some reaction video, just something where a guy is looking at his screen and just saying, "Oh wow, that happened. Oh wow, that happened." That's not play-by-play. That's a reaction video, and there's a big difference between the two. When again, I say this all the time. You should expect the best from professionals, because that is what a professional is. Professionals are held to professional standards, and there's nothing wrong with holding it. I expect you to hold me to that standard too. I'm not looking to cast this out here and just sit here and be like, "Oh no, don't say anything mean about me." No, look, if I get something wrong or something like that, you guys call me on it, because that makes me better. That makes me better. And I hope that if more people demand this, it's going to make them better too. So again, I don't want to hammer that too hard, but that's a big thing on that. So yeah. So again, big thanks again, everybody, for tuning in on that. We are going to transition into our trivia segment here. Now, this time around, we are going to, hey, I hit the power button literally, and we have the answer to the ultimate question that we got last time here. Now remember, last time we did this one, those of you who weren't in here, Darian, I don't know if you were in here for that one, but we had there was a question on here about what is the only candy that is served at the infield of Martinsville. Now this is again from the late 90s here. This is like 1998, 1999. So you know, if somebody just asked you that, I mean, let's put this out here again for people who don't know. What's the only candy that was served at the infield, served at Martinsville's concession stands in the late 90s? And the answer may, not to sound like clickbait, but the answer may surprise you. The answer is Fifth Avenue. How about that? Basically Butterfinger, I guess. I mean, I didn't grab that today. I didn't look for that. That was the crazy one. Yeah, so Fifth Avenue candy bars apparently had an exclusivity contract with Martinsville back then. But that was the only candy that you could get there. Never would have guessed that in a million years. I was thinking M&Ms because, you know, they just pop them, mix them into your popcorn and do that. Oh, that sounds good. But then something like that, you know, or something traditional, Kit Kat, Hershey bars. I don't know. My brother is last pro here, huge on the Hershey bars, plain chocolate bar. That's, you know, traditional. Wouldn't surprise me if Martinsville felt the same way. But yeah, that was a really weird one. So yeah, we're gonna do more questions on this, and just chime in on the comments, and we'll pick up from here. Let's jump into pits, because again, I think that was where we had that question last time. I think this is one we've used the least. And we're going to do one thing here. I don't know if this is, I hope this doesn't sound too self-indulgent, but what we'll do is we'll do a couple special questions. If I come across a question that's exceptionally difficult, we're going to do a couple of prizes here. Now, these maybe aren't the best prizes, but I saved these here if you guys want them. Those in the, if you're in the Last Car Patreon, you already get one of the benefits you get is a scanned PDF of the scripts of any of the videos that I do. And I have the originals here with my notes and scribbles and stuff on them from the last two videos. So here is the Darrell Waltrip script, and this is the Sears Point script right here. I still have these. In the past, I just shred these things. But then I watched a video recently, Defunctland did, where they talked about Disneyland and how they used to throw away animation cells for years, just because, you know, they didn't care about them, didn't think they were going to be worth any, you know, well, that's not worth anything, but they didn't think anybody would want them or anything like that, so they just threw them out. And I was thinking about that. I was like, well, you know, I'm just shredding these scripts. I don't know if anybody wants them or anything, but we're doing this trivia thing already. Maybe if we get a really tricky question or something like that, we'll do these. If you win one, if you get the right answer, if you're the first one to get the right answer on these selected questions, I'll mail you one of these. I can sign it for you if you guys want or anything like that. If that sounds cool, you know, let me know. We'll do that. It doesn't cost anything to mail, so that's not a big deal. But we'll do some stuff like that, and I'll let you know if we do that, and we'll do that for one of these questions. So we'll do a few questions to lead off here to kind of get things going, and we'll do trivia. Where are we up to? We're up to about an hour right now. Okay, we're on. So we got this here. Alrighty. By the way, Wyatt, I saw your comment there. Yeah, I'll give you a shout out right now, man. Shout out to Wyatt. You a Westworld fan by chance? When I see that name, that's the first thing. I don't think Wyatt Earp anymore. Now I think of Dolores and all that. I don't know. That's probably too esoteric there. Stop talking about food. Beast of Metal 1989, thank you for the $5 super chat. Stop about food, Brock. I'm literally eating supper right now, and you're making me hungry all over again. Well, that makes two of us. I apologize. We're probably going to get another food question coming up in this. It wouldn't surprise me. Alrighty, here we go. Here's a fun one. First question of the night. How many inches high can a Winston Cup Chevy be according to NASCAR? Specifically a Chevy, specifically late 90s. First question, how many inches high can a Winston Cup Chevy be according to NASCAR? Excuse me, how many inches high can a Winston Cup Chevy be according to NASCAR? Oh, excuse me here. How many inches high? Safe hand sanitizer here. Keep it safe with the hand sanitizer. How many inches high can a Winston Cup Chevy be Sounds almost like a tongue twister. Winston Cup Chevy B. Don't Google it. Just jump right in. 44, 46, 43, 45, 50. We have every number under the sun. I keep hitting the buttons here, so make sure it doesn't blank me out here. Yeah, how many inches high, as in height? Yes, height. Can a Winston Cup Chevy be according to NASCAR? Yeah, high. How many inches high can it be? So height, like literal height. I know some of these questions aren't worded very well, but I'm reading it straight off of here. Okay. Alrighty. So the answer coming up. Answer is 51. 51 inches. Wow. Andrew Hayes, you got closest to it, looked like 50 on that. 51 inches. That stumped the group. Excuse me. Stumped the group right there. 51 inches is the, I wouldn't have guessed that either. I wonder if it's just going to go one by one. It's going to do each of the manufacturers. Maybe a different height for the other ones. Oh, okay. Wow, it is. Okay, here we go. Next question. How many inches high can a Winston Cup Ford be, according to NASCAR? It's actually going through it. Maybe Pontiac will be the next one. How many inches high can a Winston Cup Ford be? How many inches high can a Winston Cup Ford be, according to NASCAR? We're going 52 again. Okay, it's going to be higher than it was 51, remember, from Chevy. This could be a trick question. Does it have to be the same height? Does it be higher? Does it be lower? How much higher? How much lower? Now remember, this is about the same time the Taurus was introduced. One that we've seen from our good buddy Awesome Bill right here. So this is a 99 version, but around that same time. Are we going to go higher or lower? Higher or lower? How many inches high can a Winston Cup Ford be? Yeah, see the standardized heights. It could be a trick question. Maybe they're all 51. We're going to see. We're going to see here in just a moment. 48, 52, 49. We got a good spread again. 54. Think it might be taller? It could be. Could be. All right, the answer is 51. They're the same. They're the same. 51. 51. 51 inches high for both a Chevy and a Ford as of 98. 98. All right, I gotta do the next one in this category, see if we get Pontiac. No, we're not. Okay, maybe it'll come up later. Maybe Pontiac's. Maybe they always did the wider is better ads. Maybe lower is better. I don't know. Okay, here we go. What color of flag is waved when a race has been stopped by rain? Well, this is a great question for this week. What color of flag is waved when a race has been stopped by rain? Those of you new to the sport, you got a first-hand experience of one of the great NASCAR traditions, waiting. Waiting during what exactly? What color of flag is waved when a race has been stopped by rain? Of course, the answer is red. It's almost tricking you there, thinking that maybe there's a different flag just for rain versus stopped for an incident on the track, or a fox that ran out on the track, or anything else, a hedgehog. Okay. Ooh, here we go. What 1955 car had the most powerful non-supercharged US-made engine ever? What 1955 car had the most powerful non-supercharged US-made engine? Plenty of qualifiers in that sentence. Ever. What 1955 car had the most powerful non-supercharged US-made engine ever? Most powerful. 1955. What year? Well, we're asking you which car. Which car? So you can do manufacturer, make. It could be any of those. Studebaker, Oldsmobile, Plymouth, Chrysler. These are good. What 1955 car had the most powerful non-supercharged US-made engine ever? Probably should have this be one of the script ones, but we'll do that. We'll lead out. We'll lead off first, so make sure we get more guesses on that. Alrighty. What 1955 car had the most powerful non-supercharged US-made engine ever? Alrighty. The answer is the Chrysler 300, Maserati 9. You got it, man. Chrysler 300. You're a ringer in this, man. All right. Chrysler 300 is the correct answer. Okay, alrighty. So this one is a lightning round question. Lightning round question, and this one is for the script to the Darrell Waltrip Victory Tour video. I think this one's a tricky enough question. Well, maybe not tricky enough, but maybe we'll have one be a little bit easier, one a little bit harder. Okay, so first person to guess the answer correct is going to get this one mailed. What we'll do is I'll either put my email in, or we can do a PM on Twitter, and you can let me know what your mailing address is, and I will send it to you. Okay, for the Darrell Waltrip Victory Tour question script, this question is the question. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Please be for the first 25 minutes. Okay, well, it's the whole thing. It's the entire thing. Yeah, I think this is like about 10 pages here. So, all right, here we go. What make of car did Ray Fox turn to when GM dropped out of racing in the 60s? For the script for the Darrell Waltrip Victory Tour, what make of car did Ray Fox turn to when GM dropped out of racing in the 60s? Andrew Hayes says Chrysler. Ford is next guess. What make of car did Ray Fox turn to when GM dropped out of racing in the 60s? Okay, we have Chrysler, we have Ford, we have Dodge, we have Mercury. Any other guesses? What make of car did Ray Fox turn to, when GM dropped out of racing in the 60s? Oldsmobile, okay. Chrysler, Ford, Dodge, Mercury, Ford, Buick, Oldsmobile, Chevy Impala. Any other guesses here? What make of car did Ray Fox turn to when GM dropped out of racing in the 60s? Okay, I'll let this one sit for a little bit longer here, since this one is for the Darrell Waltrip script. Not the copyright in the script, just the script itself. All right. And I'll get it posted on here so I can get ready to write an address. Love the Sears Point video. Thank you, Timmy Vision. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm certainly biased myself. I definitely had to throw as many old pictures and stuff I could there. Okay, here we go. The answer to the question, who is going to win this one here? The make of car Ray Fox turned to when GM dropped out of the racing in the 60s. The answer is Dodge Countryline Games. You are the winner. Congratulations. And you are the winner of the script for Darrell Waltrip's Victory Tour. Let me check to make sure. Yeah, you are the first one. Dodge is the correct answer on that. Chrysler, very close, Andrew Hayes. But yeah, Dodge is the correct answer. You can drop me an email or a PM on Twitter. My direct messages are open on there, so you're certainly free to post on there if that's easier. If that does not work for you, just let me know, and we'll get that out. And I'll put my Twitter account on there so you can see that as well. Alrighty, so this is to and when we get this here, alright, I'll sign the top of it here for you. And add a little 66 to it. All right, and this is May 22nd, 2020. All righty. So I'll set that one aside, and we will do one for the Sears Point script in a little bit. Yep, lefty, absolutely. You probably didn't even see anything because my hands are just holding the way up in there. Okay. All right, next question. You can email them? Okay, right on. So we'll do that. Yeah, if you want to email me instead, that would be that account there is the one. All right. All righty. So we will get this here. Next question. Ah, okay. Here we go. This almost would be a good one too. Next question here. Not the lightning round one yet. Here we're going to get that one here in a little bit. Next question is: what mechanical genius opened a Daytona tire dealership upon retiring in 1972? What mechanical genius opened a Daytona tire dealership upon retiring in 1972? Okay, any guesses on that? What mechanical genius opened a Daytona tire dealership upon retiring in 1972? Smokey Eunuch is the first 5 guesses here. Any other guesses on here? What mechanical genius opened a Daytona tire dealership upon retiring in 72? Certainly sounds like Smokey Eunuch. And the answer is Ray Fox. Ray Fox. How about that? 2 Ray Fox questions in a row. Wow, stumped the group. Stumped me too. Absolutely stumped me. Well, for the last question tonight, we'll do the giveaway for the Sears Point script. And same thing on there. Ray Fox is indeed the answer. So yeah, how about that? How about them apples? Yeah, continuity. I think it's trying to game the system here, trying to predict the unpredictable, and trying to predict with this. There's a little brain in this thing. And I guess it's trying to have these here. All right. Alrighty. Ooh, here we go. Here we go. Here's a good one. Here's a good one. Who was Mike Skinner's crew chief when he won the Daytona 500 pole as a rookie? Don't look it up on Racing Reference. Who was Mike Skinner's crew chief when he won the Daytona 500 pole as a rookie? His crew chief for Mike Skinner when he won the pole for the Daytona 500 as a rookie. We got McReynolds. We got Kevin Hamlin. Any other guesses on that one? Larry Mack, not Larry Mack. Kevin Hamlin, who was Mike Skinner's crew chief when he won the Daytona 500 pole as a rookie. Josh Allen, Kevin Hamlin, and the answer is Kevin Hamlin. Kevin Hamlin, you guys got it. There we go. Andrew Hayes, you got that one. Have I heard the Scene Vault interview with DW yet? I have not. I got to catch up on the Scene Vault. There's a couple podcasts I listen to on my nightly commutes. I'm working my way through a couple of them that I've had stacked up, but I'm just about caught up on a couple. So Scene Vault is like right in that cycle there. I think I got to do. He did Lake Speed too, didn't he? At some point, I think I haven't listened to that one yet either. I got to catch up on. I have a lot of them I got to catch up on. Yeah, Andrew, you're rocking it tonight, man. Might end up with the script here when we get to the last question. All right, get this here. Here we go. Here we go. Who served as crew chief when Benny Parsons won the Winston Cup title? Who served as crew chief when Benny Parsons won the Winston Cup title? Don't look it up. Don't look it up. Who served as crew chief when Benny Parsons won the Winston Cup title? Who served as crew chief when Benny Parsons won the Winston Cup title? David Ift, Buddy Parrott. Any other guesses on that? Who was crew chief when Benny Parsons won the Winston Cup title? Crew chiefs are another thing that I usually don't keep track of. Although I was thinking of Chris Carrier the other day when I was trying to think. I thought that was Stenhouse's crew chief, and then it turned out that was Sam Hornish's in 2008, and he hadn't been active in a long time. So it is hard to. I mean, there's only a few there in the Chad Knaus category there. All right, Travis Carter is their guess. Minka Fitzpatrick, Travis Carter, Ray Fox. Hey, you never know. Travis Carter. All righty. And the answer is indeed Travis Carter. That came up in our Darrell Waltrip video there. Travis Carter. Back to his origins with the LG DeWitt team on that. So Maserati 9, you got that one. And a couple of you did too. NASCAR fan 93-100. And Martin Henderson, you got it as well. Okay. All right, next one. Ooh, this is a good one. This is a good one. I don't know if I'll make this a lightning round one because I don't know if I'll make this the last one, but this is a really good one. Who was the first Cup driver? Maybe I will make this. You know what? This is too good. This is too good. I'm gonna make this one the lightning round one. You guys mind? I'm gonna make this one the lightning round one. Okay. So this one. I really don't know the answer to this one. This one is for the Sears Point script. This one is for the Sears Point script. So we're gonna make sure everybody gets in line. We got 12 people in here. Okay, right on. So this is a fun one. This is a fun one. This one goes pretty far back. For the Sears Point script, who was the first Cup driver to win in 4 different makes of cars at Rockingham? Yeah, yeah. Who was the first Cup driver to win in 4 different makes of cars at Rockingham? The first Cup driver to win in 4 different makes of cars at Rockingham. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Ricky Rudd is the first guess. Richard Petty, David Pearson, Bobby Allison. Pearson, these are all good guesses. Pearson, okay. Any other guesses on here? First Cup driver to win in 4 different makes of cars at Rockingham. This one is for the Sears Point script. Maybe I get a Sears Point question, but I think this is better. This is a good one. I don't know if we're going to get as good a one. We'll probably get like point standings questions for the rest of this here. So we'll jump in on this one. Pearson, Petty, Allison. Any other guesses on here? Any other guesses? This is for the Sears Point script. They will sign it and mail it as well. First Cup driver to win in 4 different makes of cars at Rockingham. Okay, I'm not seeing any more guesses on here. Looks like we're going to hit the button here pretty soon. And the answer is, Cale Yarborough. Cale Yarborough. It stumped the group. So the script is still alive, and it's going to go on for another one. Cale Yarborough. They call him Cale. Cale is the answer. Cale Yarborough. Fascinating. It sounds like a Bobby Allison question. If I had to guess, I probably would have said Bobby. Yeah, I probably would have said Bobby. Ricky Rudd's a good guess. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yarborough. That's wow. Yeah, that was a good one. I'm gonna wait. Yeah, we'll do. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna keep doing questions until we get like a good one, and then we'll have that be the Sears Point script question. That was a good one. That was a tricky one. Very good one. All right. Next one. This is all in the Pitts category, by the way. The Pitts one has really good questions. I haven't changed categories since we started here. So we'll keep going here. How many valve stems are found on a NASCAR Winston Cup tire? How many valve stems are found on a NASCAR Winston Cup tire? Yeah, Cale Yarborough. That's a good one. That is a good one. How many valve stems are found on a NASCAR Winston Cup tire? 2, 1. Is it 1 or is it 2? Is it more than 2? Any other guesses there? 1 or 2? How many valve stems are found on a NASCAR Winston Cup tire? And the answer is 2 is the answer. So we do count the inner liner, and Maserati 9 got it right out of the box. 2 is the answer. All righty. Okay, I have to make sure I read this correctly. Okay, what auto parts by Carrera come in both, quote, twin tube or, quote, monotube varieties? 2 is the answer. 100 would be amazing. What auto parts by Carrera, C-A-R-R-E-R-A, come in twin tube or monotube varieties? What auto parts by Carrera come in twin tube or monotube varieties? Air filters, shocks, tires, all good guesses. What auto parts by Carrera, the company Carrera making auto parts, which auto parts come in 2 varieties, twin tube or monotube? Wheels or rims, shocks. These are good. I don't know this one either. The mechanical side, I kind of have the Tim Richmond angle. The mechanical side of it, you couldn't really quiz me on that very well, but the spectacle of it, yeah, I could probably remember that a little better. Although I didn't get that Cale Yarborough one at all. What auto or the Fifth Avenue question? Wow. What was the answer? Oh, it was 15 seconds. That came up a lot of the other one. That we had two questions. The answers were both 15 seconds. And then we tried to guess 15 seconds for something else. What auto parts by Carrera come in twin tube or monotube varieties? All right, the answer is shocks. Shocks. I was about to say NASCAR Fan 93-100, you got it, but Maserati 9 got you beat on that. Shocks. Martin Henderson, you got it too. Andrew Hayes, you got it also. There you go. Shocks is indeed the answer. All right, let's get through these pits one here. Should this be the one? I don't know if this should be the one. This is pretty good. This is pretty good, but it might not be a big enough body of answers to be challenging. Let's see. The question is, what chassis maker's ads claim all recent champions used its parts without changes? Let me read that one again. What chassis makers' ads claim all recent champions used its parts without changes? What chassis makers' ads claim all recent champions used its parts without changes? Chassis makers is the subject. The ads claiming that all the champions used, all recent champions used its parts without changes. Yeah, it could be. I mean, it's a chassis maker. Now, is this? Yeah, is it a person? Is it a company? Is it a person's company name? Is it a combination? Tough call. What chassis makers' ads claim all recent champions, as of the late 90s, used its parts without changes? All righty. What is the answer? I probably should have made this one the script one, but that's okay. We'll find another one. All righty. The answer is Moog. Moog, NASCAR fan 93. Oh, Bean Boy 89 and Maserati 9. Yeah, you just answered Maserati 9. You are right on top of it. Maserati 9, Bean Boy 89, NASCAR fan 93 100. Yeah, Moog is the answer indeed. M-O-O-G. All right. Okay, we're getting down to it. If we get the next challenging question here, the next challenging question is going to be the Sears Point script question. So stand by for that. All right, this is not going to be the one. What fraction of a race must be run for a rain-shortened event to be claimed official? Also relevant to this week. What fraction of a race, as of the 1990s, must be run for a rain-shortened event to be official? What fraction of a race must be run, for a rain-shortened event to be official? Excuse me. Halfway, 50%. You guys got it exactly. 1/2 is the answer. Okay, no, not that. Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. Here's a good one. Half the distance plus 1. There you go. Okay. Kind of worded weird. Yeah, Moog makes suspension parts. Yeah, when they said chassis, that makes it sound like I was thinking maybe like, yeah, like Hutcherson Pagan or somebody like that. Like, but I'm struggling to think of other chassis manufacturers beyond that. I mean, that was the big one back in the day, but yeah. Okay, here we go. Here we go. What is the pit road penalty for rolling a tire across pit road? What is the pit road penalty for rolling a tire across pit road? What is the pit road penalty for rolling a tire across pit road? The pit road penalty. What penalty do you get for rolling a tire across pit road? Stop and go, 15 seconds. 1 lap, stop and hold. Stop and go, 15 seconds. Any other guesses on that? Any other guesses on that? The pit road penalty for rolling a tire across pit road. Stop and go, tail end of the longest line. And what is the answer? Well, it's our favorite capital punishment. Okay, that's good. That's good. But the answer is our favorite answer, 15 seconds. Yeah, 15 seconds is the answer. Our answer is, of course, 15 seconds. Oh, late 90s, stop and go. There we go. All right. Okay. Let's see. I don't know if this one's okay. This one's pretty good. This one's pretty good. Let me think about this one. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Maybe not have this be the last one. Let me. This is a good one though. Who determines the positioning of front fender decals for Winston Cup events? Who determines the positioning of front fender decals for Winston Cup events? Who? Who determines the positioning of front fender decals for Winston Cup events? NASCAR, 15 seconds, Bill Gasway. NASCAR. And any other guess on here? Contingency decals are great, but unfortunately they're pared down so much. Do they even have them on the front fenders anymore? I guess they still have the Jessel one, I guess, or Moog or one of those. Who specifically, who determines the positioning of front fender decals for Winston Cup events? I guess it could be a name, could be a position, could be an entity. That's where I didn't want to make this the script question because it could be answered any number of different ways. All right, the answer is NASCAR. Okay, yeah. So the first people that got it there, yeah. Beast of Metal, you got that one. So there you go. Just edged Stephen C in a photo finish. All right. Let's see. Well. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Now, this is going to be a math question. It sounds like this is going to be a math question. So this is going to be a different one there. Okay, so this is going to be the last question of the night. I appreciate you guys again for tuning in. This is going to be for the Sears Point script. I think I found it. I think I found a good one here. This is going to be kind of a Price is Right kind of style question. So I think this will be pretty good. So what we'll do is this answer is going to be a number. Anybody who is the highest without going over is going to be the winner on this one. You don't have to get exactly right, but it's going to be the highest without going over. So here we go. Hands on the buzzers, folks. Last question of the night. How fast must a driver go? Dollar Bob. Okay. How fast must a driver go to run a 2-mile oval in 36 flat? Once again, how fast must a driver go to run a 2-mile oval in 36 flat? Sounds like it's asking for speed. So how fast must a driver go to run a 2-mile oval in 36 flat? Go ahead and get those numbers. Closest one without going over gets the Sears Point script right here. 175, 201, 200. You can make multiple guesses if somebody else already guessed yours. How fast? First one to guess the correct answer without going over. How fast must a driver go to run a 2-mile oval in 36 flat? 192, 206, 957. Somebody's playing for keeps. All right. How fast must a driver go to run a 2-mile oval in 36 flat? 180, 181, 228, 195. Okay, we're getting a good spread here. How fast must a driver go to run a 2-mile oval in 36 flat? All right. Last question of the night. How fast must a driver go to run a 2-mile oval in 36 flat? Okay, I think the answers are starting to slow down. The answer is coming up for the Sears Point script. Here comes the answer. For a driver to run a 2-mile oval in 36 flat, the answer is 200 miles per hour. Andrew Hayes, you beat back booking by inches, and you are the winner of the script. Congratulations. 200 miles an hour to run a 36 flat. So there we go. So there you go. And 236 flat. and that is May 22nd, 2020. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Big thanks again, everybody, for following on the website and checking out the video. Hope you guys have been enjoying the racing as much as I have here the last few days here for the action at the track. Looking forward to the action we're going to have at Charlotte next week. Hopefully the weather cooperates a bit more and we can just have 4 slammed days of racing between the top 3 divisions of NASCAR, and it's going to be a thing there. Yeah, 36 seconds at a 2-mile track in NASCAR. That doesn't sound possible, but I guess it's a hypothetical question, so we're going to go with that instead. So again, this is Andrew Hayes on that one. Let me make that note on here. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Stay tuned for more content here on this YouTube channel. At Last Car on Brock is the Twitter feed. LastCar.info is the website. Patreon.com/LastCarOnBrock is the Patreon. Be safe, everyone out there, and stay tuned for our next live stream. We'll probably do it after the Coca-Cola 600, if not sometime during those couple of days. We'll get something going. So have a good night, everyone, and last half.